Welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho, and we're starting things out looking at the sun in 131 angstroms. And what can I say? I was so far incorrect, as we don't have any named sunspots yet, just two significant active regions rising on the east. The northern one's a little larger than the southern one, and we don't yet see any umbrae. One thing I would note about yesterday's broadcast, if you watched yesterday's Daily Space Weather, when we did show prep, that one down there did have umbrae, and by the time we got finished streaming the show, the umbrae had vanished. So that's the current state of affairs. That's a 48-hour video there from the SDO. We'll let that play through and then move on to lots more data. Plenty of stuff to cover today. And thanks for tuning into the Smash stream, everybody. By the way, we did stream this live to twitch.tv/smAshomash, so if you haven't checked us out there, highly recommend that you do. Next, we're going to look at some custom Helio Viewer movies here. And just bear with me a moment. I got to save the files to make you a later video. So here is the first Helio Viewer custom movie. And there's that active region. Put that on loop so you get a better image of it there. And we've got a composite image going on here, including 304 angstroms, which is that red ionized helium color, as well as that gold 171 ionized iron color. So there's that one. Again, we don't see any umbrae with it yet, but we'll check by the end of the video, once again, to determine whether or not it is yet a sunspot. Here's the more southern region, and we see some filamentary activity associated with that as well. So let's play that one through for you also. I didn't mean to do that, folks. And now I've pressed F12 and it's turning into a disastrous train wreck. All right, so there's the situation with that active region. By the way, these are both 100% cycle 24 activity. As we see much, much more cycle 25 activity than cycle 24 activity now. Did I say 24? They're cycle 25. Both of these plages, or if they should turn into sunspots, are cycle 25 behavior. And we're seeing much more cycle 25 activity than cycle 24. We also see a small active region rising up here in the northwest. That just kicked off in the last short period of time, within the last 12 hours, probably, something like that. There are the fields, and you can see some significant fields there. And again, no umbrae yet visible, so might not be sunspots after all, folks. And I reserve the right to be incorrect occasionally. Here's what those areas looked like yesterday. And let's actually close down those tabs. And look at the 94 angstroms view. Here's the 48-hour SDO view of 94 angstroms. And you'll see that northwesterly active region pop up there at the end. And I'll let that play through a second time for you there, for all of you heliophysics buffs. Let's look at some more data. The KP index is at 1, having come off of the floor in the past 6 hours. 10.7 centimeter radial flux has increased as forecasted yesterday to 70. So that's a good thing, folks. Welcome to cycle 25 and indeed the Neo-Renaissance, where various giant swaths of physics, astrophysics, and cosmology are being rewritten. Part of the reason why we've created the channel. Here's where stuff is in the solar system, as Venus is just about to swing past. And Mercury's gaining on both planets. There's where things will be in a week, just coming off of the next new moon, my favorite phase of the moon. Here's what's going on above my head. And I like to use in-the-sky.org to make my star charts. If you've got a clear view of the ecliptic before sunrise, you should see the moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all out there all at once. No significant X-ray flares yet. And if we do see those things turn into sunspots, again, my forecast stands for some C-class flares, especially considering the size of that northerly one. But again, no umbrae yet, and we'll let you know by the end of the video what the state of affairs is. Proton flux is totally flatlined, like the X-ray flux. And let's look at the real-time solar wind here. And there's the real-time solar wind. Nothing too noteworthy there. We see a slightly elevated solar wind density here, 5.94 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed very low, about as low as we ever see it. Below 300 kilometers a second here at 297. And it's not cooperating, but it did reach all the way down to 295 kilometers a second there, a very low solar wind speed. And today we're not going to be talking any cosmology. However, I would note, if you're viewing the videos on YouTube, check out our playlists. They're accessible from youtube.com/smAsho. And we've got over 60 videos in the cosmology segments section, as well as various other playlists that you should totally check out. And we've made those playlists to make it more convenient for you to view our older content, as not all of the content is the daily space weather videos. Here's 4 hours of the Magnetosphere. This is a geospace magnetosphere movie in terms of pressure. We're looking at it in nanopascals. And this scale goes from 0 to 1.5 nanopascals. Nothing too extraordinary happening in the magnetosphere right now, as we see a fairly steady solar wind over the past 4 hours. Here's 4 hours of geospace ground magnetic perturbations, looking at ground-based magnetometer readings here. It's all part of the space weather modeling framework. And we try to show this data every day as long as the site is active. We'll show you 4 hours of data. If you want to know what was happening on August 14th, 2019, go watch our daily space weather video from August 14th, and you'll see what was going on back then. Probably very high levels of electron flux. But anyway, now looking at the GOES magnetometer, we see pretty high readings here. You can see it made it all the way up to 118 nanotesla there the past 2 days. And it's looking a little smoother than it has looked. Let's look at the data from Gong 2. Now, for some reason, the data is over 4 hours old this time. Let's make sure we're getting the latest. Okay, now we've got an update here. This data 1 hour and 29 minutes old, and you can see some green coming through. So let's bring this to the last frame so I can show you what I mean. And it looks like a strengthening of the north solar polar fields, as we see green coming through here and over here. And that's a good sign, folks, because the solar polar fields are what determine solar activity. That data 1 hour and 29 minutes old can change with no warning. Let's get the latest from the line of sight field plot also. Last one was the top view ecliptic plane field plot, as if you're viewing the solar system from the sun's north pole. Here it is viewing from Earth. And we see little changes here in the B field, shown here in blue. You can see it dipping down a little bit there. Its shape being changed by solar magnetism, with those two active regions having risen in the east. Electron flux is very, very low. There is the Solon.info greater than 2 mega electron volt electron fluence. You can see very, very low levels, having come down from significant warning levels all the way down to not the lowest we've ever seen. There are some electrons out there, just not very many. Here's the GOES electron flux. By the way, this is measured at the ionosphere layer by the GOES 16. And we see continued fairly low levels, fairly normal levels here, really, of the greater than or equal to 2 mega electron volt electron flux. Let's look at the entire column between things like geosynchronous satellites and the ground. This is the total electron content. CTIPE stands for Coupled Thermosphere, Ionosphere, Plasmasphere Electrodynamics Model. The CTIPE. And we'll see very low levels of GPS errors and satellite drag as a result of high electron flux. We don't see high electron flux, we see very low electron flux. And we like to show it to our viewers graphically. And there's the graphics of that. Next, looking at just one layer. Now we're only looking at the ionosphere portion, as opposed to going all the way out to the thermosphere like the last one we looked at. So here's the ionosphere layer, and it's looking anomalous once again, especially associated with the South Atlantic anomaly there off the eastern coast of South America. No real surprises there. Let's bring up the latest image and move on. as we try to keep the daily space weather videos as short as possible. Some days we only produce one video. Not sure if we'll produce more today or not. You'll have to stay tuned to the channels. And I say channels because there are multiple channels and social media outlets that we use. Next, looking at windy.com's pressure maps. By the way, they've got a great mobile app, and we're just letting this advance into the GFS forecast here. We'll let it advance about 24 hours from when we made the video. And if you're wondering what time it is, when I made the video via a live stream, it was 4:36 a.m. Did you know where your pressure cells were? Here's where we anticipate them to be at 12 noon tomorrow. Powerful anticyclone over eastern Canada, as well as a low pressure system moving up off the coast of North Carolina. We'll go a little more in depth into that in a minute. First, we're going to look at earthquakes. And while I did show prep today, we see a 5.5 magnitude striking in the ocean off of the coast of Ferndale, California, and tons of aftershocks following 2 days ago a 6.5 magnitude quake in Nevada. So we're just going to go up the list here. We're only going to note deep quakes, weird quakes, etc. Here's a 5.0 at Tonga at 127 kilometers depth. And we're just going to scroll up the list as quickly as possible here and keep the video as short as possible. Here's a 5.4 at the Fiji, around Fiji, and that is straight up the deep quake capital of the world. That 5.4 magnitude at very extreme depths, 485 kilometers there. Deeper than any borehole ever drilled, folks. Much, much, much deeper. Here's an odd one in Sweden. It's a 4.9 at Kiruna. Very far north for an earthquake there. And here's the location of that one. Looking like it's in a pretty, right by the town though, so pretty much right in the town of Kiruna. At the golf club. So a significant quake there. Please leave a comment if you've been engaged in some Swedish golf. Somehow I doubt our viewers are going to be playing golf in Sweden. And let's scroll up the list here, continuing up the list. A couple 5 magnitude events happening. Here's a 5.3 at Greece. Here's a deep quake at South America. It's in western South America where we've seen deep quake after deep quake for months. Probably years, actually, at this point. And let's move on to volcanoes. Volcanism for today, May 18th, include Sakurajima, by the way, is back on the list with some interesting behavior. First, Kluchevskoy, 22,000-foot plume there. Mount Aso, flight level 6,000 there. Sakurajima, Volcanian activity continues from the summit crater after powerful eruptions that occurred last week. And yesterday at 1854 local time, a strong explosion generated a dense, dark ash plume and produced a flight level warning of about 3,300 feet. And Popocatépetl is also exploding down there in Mexico. Please do not attempt to fly a hang glider or go parasailing over the caldera. It could be unhealthful. What will you do while you're locked down? Will you petition to get rid of your governor? Will you watch our videos and watch me go, oh my God, it's so scary. I hope the sun comes out and destroys that like this. Bye. See you at sunrise, and thanks. By the way, if you're viewing the live stream, please leave a comment. Thanks for leaving comments there. Eden'll do, as well as Rarity Gamer. I don't want to become famous, only rich, as fame is a liability, and riches are an asset. One of the channels that you may want to watch is Sticks, Hex, and Hammer 666. Now, he's a kind of a libertarian type of dude, and another great video here. A lot of supposedly anti-government people are only anti-Western governments. Here's a teaser from his second newest video.
They thought it was probably a bad time to make that reference. Just a little bit of movie lore there. I get excited.
So anyway, there are a lot of people out there that you may notice who claim to be libertarians or who claim to be anti-government, but they're only anti-government when somebody besides their political party is in power. Little story about me. I started becoming critical of the government at age 4. That's right, age 4. Why is that? Well, because when I was getting registered for kindergarten, I asked my mom what we're doing in this school, because I read the writing on the wall when I was very, very young, learned to read at age 3, so I wouldn't have to go to school because school sucks. And and unfortunately, I was forced to go to school anyway. When I asked her why I was being registered to go to school despite learning how to read, which would enable me to learn anything known to man by simply going to a library at the time in about 1981, she informed me that if I didn't go to school, she'd go to jail. And at that point, I said, "Hey, government." So anyway, check out Styx Hexenhammer. And again, check out our playlists. As we've created playlists, one of the playlists includes things like aquarium videos. So if you like an amazing screensaver,
the new house is amazing.
We've got long videos associated with our aquariums. And I've just put up this little screensaver here because for some reason it's not showing me the video that I want. Thanks, YouTube. All right, so yesterday we made one called, that was 2 days ago, I think, YouTube exclusive live stream, Orange Fish Bad. Now, this particular fish,
he spends his days in a pipe all the time.
This particular fish is a bad. He's literally Hitler. And if you don't believe me,
I don't know what's wrong with her.
If you don't believe me, this fish invaded Lithuania yesterday. So you may want to watch out for this. This orange fish, known as Phelps, who swims fast and eats a lot, is literally Hitler. Here he comes. He's lost his Hitler mustache. But like I said, he invaded Lithuania yesterday. I don't know, maybe to free more Prussian carps. But in any case, check out our playlists. And pardon my dry sense of humor, folks. It's somewhat unintentional. So please take a moment to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on YouTube. And tonight, I think we're going to watch this terrible scam of a movie known as Jack and Jill. Now, Red Letter Media did a 2-part review of this piece of garbage known as Jack and Jill, a terrible scam by Adam Sandler. And this movie is so self-aware that this is a scene, because this movie has A-list actors, unlike Adam Sandler, who's a B-list actor on his best day. It's got A-list actors in it like Katie Holmes and like Al Pacino. So check out this line.
Burn this.
Burn this.
I'm sorry?
This must never be seen.
This must never be seen. Has anybody seen this? If they've seen it, they must be found and talked to. This advertisement actually appears in the film, and there was a real ad campaign happening on with Dunkin' Donuts at the time. If this movie isn't a piece of crap, I don't know what is. We're going to watch it just to get some laughs, and hopefully it's free on Amazon Prime. We'll let you know the results of this. Here's a little clip from the Dunkachino commercial. Please do not cut your wrists while viewing this.
My chocolate blend. This whole trial is out of sight.
Wow. From the movie Jack and Jill, written and produced by Adam Sandler, who was probably paid about $20 million for it. By the way, thanks to our BitChute subscribers, we still haven't gotten around to the 150 subscriber special. We will get to it eventually. You may want to follow us on other social media also, such as Twitter, to get words of wisdom like, let me remind Americans of something. It's called the Health Insurance Portability and Affordability. It's actually the Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, called HIPAA. Guess what? It hasn't expired, and your health information is yours alone. Corporations, government, and NGOs have zero right to your private health information. So cheers. We've also put up a post about garbage in and garbage out, which we'll be talking about in a minute as well, because of things like climate and COVID-19 models and how much they fail. So you may want to check us out on Facebook also. Perhaps sign the petition at facebook.com/smashamash to recall slimy, putrid, corporatist government Tom Wolfe and his ineffective and ridiculous measures forcing people to wear masks in grocery stores regardless of whether they're sick, to shelter in place or whatever the current COVIDiocy is. So let's get rid of Tom Wolfe and former NCAA linebacker Dr. Rachel Levine, the Physician General of Pennsylvania, who I would not trust to rake my leaves, much less be my physician. We're also on Instagram. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to say, thanks, pandemic. You've made everybody, including me, slightly more antisocial. That was completely unwelcome and insulting development. Thanks a lot, pandemic. I mean, thanks a lot, idiotic governments and corporations, for responding in such a haphazard, mentally handicapped fashion and behaving as science deniers. So, well done, COVIDiots. The word of the year, COVIDiots. Check us out on Minds also. We need some tokens. We can't boost our posts anymore. Divided States of America, hook us up. I mean, anybody over there on Minds, if you got a bunch of tokens, send them our way so we can keep boosting our posts and make it to 700,000 views. Already at 662,000 with only 735 subs. Minds.com/smAsho, the future of social media, where you won't be shadow banned, you won't have your content throttled. We're also on Locals, so check us out over there, perhaps. As well, Dave Rubin's new site, smashomash.locals.com. There it is. Good times. What is garbage in and garbage out? Garbage in and garbage out is when you take bad data or you have bad code and then you run a computer simulation of something and you end up with garbage output. Garbage input, garbage output. That's just the way it works. The most simple concept in computer programming is not understood by people like climatologists, cosmology model makers, as well as pandemic modelers. Why? Why am I talking about it? Well, because the model that inspired UK's lockdown may be the most devastating software mistake of all time. Because Neil Ferguson's terrible, ridiculous, nonsensical COVID-19 model was written in Fortran, an ancient programming code from like the 60s, which I studied back in the early 1990s when I was learning things like Pascal and other completely outdated, outmoded programming. Now, I first learned how to write code on BASIC when I was about 5 years old. And I did take computer programming briefly in college, and before I read the writing on the wall and got the heck out of there, I realized that I didn't want to spend 30 years staring at a computer monitor and copy-pasting code libraries. So anyway, an interesting article here on Zero Hedge that we picked up at smashomash.com/forum. If you haven't been there yet, check it out. Set up a login, perhaps, and contribute, as we won't be updating the coronavirus section every day, which, by the way, is in the Free-for-All forum. There are also forums in there about cosmology, geophysics, heliophysics, general science, and more. smashomash.com/forum. Now, yesterday we talked about the bald-faced hornet. It's one of my favorite animals. And if you see one of these nests in your yard, do not destroy it. Even the Wikipedia article cites the fact that it is a beneficial insect. They're omnivorous and considered to be beneficial due to their predation of flies, caterpillars, and spiders. However, their aggressive nature... Did you know that they can even squirt venom into the eyes of attackers? These animals will not bother you unless you directly attack the nest. So if you've got a nest in some place that doesn't disrupt things like egress lines, or if it's right by a door or something like that, otherwise you should leave them alone, as they are a beneficial insect. Let's talk about another insect that's not dangerous, the European hornet. Now, I've actually photographed these in the backyard. These are another non-dangerous type of animal, although if they sting you, it will feel like you were hit by a sledgehammer because they're a very, very large hornet. It is the largest type of hornet in Europe, and it's the largest. It's the only true hornet found in North America. It is an invasive species, but it's not really any danger to the ecosystem, because they don't really compete for nesting space with anything else. They might chew the bark off of your lilac bushes in order to build the nesting material inside of hollow wooden cavities, because they pretty much only nest in hollow wooden cavities. The European hornet, also not dangerous. It's also not going to murder you. In fact, I don't know if you're aware, But getting stung by bees if you're not allergic is actually good for you, as you get crazy exotic antioxidants in your bloodstream, probably an indication of why beekeepers have excessively long life expectancies. We won't get into it any further. But instead we'll look at the jet streams. So here are the jet streams. And yeah, I'm a real science nerd, folks. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of YouTube channels out here that just do nothing but rehash old nonsense. And they don't do anything cutting edge, which is part of the reason why we've made a channel, because we realize that there's a need for it. So here's the jet stream maps, and we see extreme meridional jet stream flow again. We're going to hear about how Antarctica must be melting because some warm air from Australia is being pushed up to Antarctica. So you'll probably hear articles this week about OMG, OMG, the planet's so hot that we're seeing 2 standard deviations above normal snowfall for 3 seasons in a row in the Northern Hemisphere. But oh, it must be so hot that it's cold. Here's the meridional jet stream flow that's responsible for that kind of stuff, which is all caused by things like the Earth's magnetic fields. We won't get further into that either, as this isn't a cosmology segment. This is just the daily space weather. So anyway, there's the western world's jet streams, and you can see doubled up in the south, extreme meridional jet stream flow, and doubled up and tripled up in the north, all over the place, leading to severe weather and all kinds of other anomalies. By the way, cold air is what causes severe thunderstorms and tornadoes, not warm air. So if you hear a climate alarmist who doesn't know the first thing about atmospheric physics telling you that the planet's so hot that we're seeing more hurricanes and tornadoes and severe thunderstorms and hailstorms, you may want to tell them that they're a moron. Next, looking at the water vapor maps here for Europe and Africa, there are those. Water vapor maps for the Far East and for Oceania, there are those. Next, we'll go to lightningmaps.org. Check it out. And we see heavy lightning in the Gulf. If you're out there shrimping with Forrest Gump, you may want to stay below decks, as lightning can kill you, even though you're semi-grounded by being on a boat. Don't be outside. By the way, if you're in a lightning storm and you think you're safe in your car, make sure you have the windows up, because you could still get pretty messed up from a lightning strike in a car. I don't know if you're aware. Anyway, looking at the U.S. Doppler radar map, and we see this low already striking the Outer Banks here. And it looks like a great time to be surfing. If you're even in a place like perhaps Ocean City, Maryland right now, probably receiving some excellent surf. And I would be out there to the point of complete exhaustion if I was there with a wetsuit and a longboard, especially a longboard. But fortunately, the waves are probably big enough you don't even need a longboard today. Let's move on. Here is the shortwave satellite animation. And we're going to zoom in on that area over North Carolina real quick just to show you what's going on in the cloud layer, even though it's not light out. This is what you use for it. You use the GOES interactive weather satellites. And there is the likely scenario with the cloud layers in that place. Next, we'll look at the U.S. water vapor map. And let's zoom in on that same region first. There's what's going on in the water vapor. That should give you a little more insight into what's going to happen next. And this dry air surrounding it is going to weaken the system. By the way, when we start to see hurricanes this year, folks, tune into our videos. We'll do specific videos about hurricanes because I'm gifted at forecasting hurricane storm tracks. So we've done it before in the past, and we'll be doing it again when we see some more serious systems affecting the U.S. Sorry, folks, I can't forecast everybody's weather until I'm full-time at this. So please support the channel via the scrolling links, the links below the video, etc. And let's look at this zone here over Illinois. Leftist stronghold Illinois. Check it out. It's a rotating low pressure system consisting of a bunch of dry air, a strange oddity happening there. As typically masses of dry air rotate clockwise in an anticyclonic fashion. This is a weird mixed system consisting of probably 2 lows at different atmospheric altitudes. And let's look at one more zone here, the Gulf of Mexico, where all that lightning is striking. So if you're shrimping with Forrest Gump right now in the Gulf of Mexico, here's the scenario. And check out this stagnant zone right here. The universe isn't electric fundamentally, folks, but some aspects of it are, and the atmosphere is one of those aspects. Atmospheric capacitance. And let's just move on to thank our patrons for being assistant and associate producers of the channel. Please consider being a patron. And patrons, don't worry, you'll see some member benefits coming soon, such as free music, ringtones, extra graphics, behind-the-scenes stuff, etc. Patreon.com/smAsho. We are also accepting sponsors at Subscribestar, subscribestar.com/smAsho. Thanks to the Smash team for tuning in. Please don't forget to press like, subscribe, share on your social media, leave us a comment. If you have friends, foes, or neutrals, tell them about the channel. Thanks for flying, American Smashways. Please keep your head and arms inside of your, wherever you're viewing from. And stay tuned for our bonus features, which are consisting of the intensity gram of the local yellow dwarf. And there you go. No umbre. A weird looking bright spot there in the intensity gram. Oh, I think I see umbre. It looks a little dark right there, so that one could get named. And this one down here, no umbre associated with that yet. Maybe one forming there. It's cut and dry, folks. Not exactly sure what's going to happen next here, as these magnetic environments can change with no warning, as we say over and over again on the channel. If there is an umbra, it's going to appear there. And that is 100% cycle 25 polarity. Up in this one, check out that bright spot there that we saw in the intensity gram. It's an odd area of magnetic complexity, so there could be additional activity trailing that, but it's probably just filamentary behavior messing with the magnetogram, as plasma has the ability to block magnetic fields as it aligns to, absorbs energy from, gets heated up by, and moved around by the magnetic fields. What plasma doesn't do is become a magnet, because gas in space has no capability to do that. And let's take a look at one more view here. How about the 193 angstroms that we haven't viewed yet today on the Daily Space Weather? There's a 48-hour SDO video of that. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive, and since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back, and may the covidiocy be absent from the entire universe.